And we actually cover half already lah. Consider half already. Okay, I will present the screen now. Okay, so for this chapter, chapter 6, multi-form project. So for this case, because for one project, it doesn't mean that you have only one form inside it. Okay, especially when you have a system. Okay, especially when you have a system, you cannot just finish this within one form. Okay, you cannot just finish everything just by using one form. So you should have more than one form in one project. Okay. So the objective of this chapter, multiple forms. Now let me put the okay, multiple forms in an application. So you use the template to create the splash screen and also the about boxes. So this one is actually for the about boxes. It's actually providing info on these applications or project or system. Okay, which version, or who's the copyright. Okay. So use the show dialog. This is the one that you already covered in the previous chapter. The show, what's the difference between the show and show dialog? Still the same from previous chapter. And hide methods to display and hide forms. Okay, we use the hide. Okay, understand the various form events and select the best procedures for your code. Okay, those events are actually ready there once you double click a certain button or on the menu, selections on the menu. Okay, declare variables with the correct scope and access level for multiple projects. So this one, the variables, if you want to make it global, how you're going to declare it. If you want to make it local, how you're going to declare it. Okay, the concept is still the same. So using multiple form, project can appear more professional when using different windows for different type of information. So as for your case here for the assignment, okay, for the assignment, you may use different forms for different modules. Okay. So the first form of project display is a startup form. This is the one that I asked you all to put all the practical questions under one project, and you can just change the startup form to run. Which form now you actually want to take actions on. Okay, startup form. So project can contain as many forms as desired, as many forms as you like, but make sure not too over as well. Okay, think of a standardized form for an applications. Switching between the forms. So in design time, there are several ways to switch between the form under your Solutions Explorer. This one is talking about the your design, your environment, your visualstudio.net. Okay, how you can switch between the form and work on different forms. Okay. So in the solution, under the Solutions Explorer, okay, you just select a form name and click the View Designer button or the View Code button. So I believe this one, you have no problems to come out with that because you deal with this since first practical already. Okay. So whenever you create a project, sure you have Solutions window, Solutions Explorer, where you can see My Project, you can see all your form name under the Solutions Explorer window. Okay, so as mentioned as well in the first practical, every forms that you create, you have design, you have the design view, you have the code view. Okay, you can just right click it to show different view. Or you can double clicking a form name opens the form in Designer. You can just double click again. So easiest way here is to use the tab at the top of the document window that appear when the form is displayed. So this one is actually on your tab. You can see from your tab. Today I open up this one first. But still very slow. This is the Solutions Explorer, something that you can do something here. So you can just double click, you can just right click for the code view or the designer view here. Okay, or the tab. After you open up, you have a lot of tabs at the top part. So you can just select whatever tab that you have at the top part here. So this is mentioned just now in the slides. Okay, so we don't wait for that. Later on only I will show you again. Okay. Okay, so each form is a separate file and a separate class. When you have one form, you have one class. So forms, adding existing form. If you have an existing form, okay, you can just add in into whichever project that you need to use that form. So forms may be used in more than one project. This is actually you can reuse, recycle. Okay, a module is the one that a functions is the one that you can recycle, reuse from one project to another project. So more than one project and existing form may be used in a new project or in so many other projects. As three separate files, the code, the visual, and also the setting, property setting for the control. So your code, your coding part, your design, your interface, okay, and also the properties, property setting for every controls that you have, every element control. Okay. So to add an existing form to a project, use add existing add. Normally you add new item. So you can just add existing item if that particular. Okay. So select only one file name. Normally it's a file name.bb. All these three files, once you copy one, let's say this one, so you can see the from what I have shown you just now, of the forms to be removed, of the files to be removed as well. So either click on the delete key and right click on the file name to choose choose delete the form. So this one, I believe you have no problem to just delete that. Just right click and let's find the delete, then click exclude the use exclude. This is actually not to that particular project. It is not deleted. So choose wisely whether you want to delete permanently or you just want to remove it from this project. Okay, you may need to use that particular form in other projects. So in that case, you just exclude it. don't delete it. So an about box. So this is actually provide you with the name of this system or applications, the versions of it, some information on the programmer or the company, copyright, all this kind of information. Okay, informations mostly on these applications. So user can create about boxes, creating a new form. Okay, creating a new form and entering information in level using Visual Studio about box template. So there's a template ready there. Normally, how you do your add new button, add new item. Okay, these are the tab. The tab you can choose. Okay, so let's say now I want to add a new item. Existing item is the one. The form is there. Okay, new item. So make sure if now you want to get an about box, actually you have a ready template there when you add new item. So maybe you can try it out on your own machine. So here, about box. So you just click on that. Okay. Later on, you can see a ready template there. Okay, you just need to fill up something later on. Okay. So I just cancel first because in this demo, your chapter 6 demo, you have the above and also splash screen demo for you lah. Just to show you where you can actually get that. Okay. So setting assembly information. So this one you can set the information for the about just now. User can manually set the text properties of the control in the code, or you just open the project designer. From the project or project name properties, I will click the My Project in the Solutions Explorer. Click Assembly Information button. Fill in the design information in Assembly Information dialog box. This is where it is. So you just double click My Project. That is the assembly information here and the applications here. Okay, you can just click it. So you can just play around with your own environment there. So which means that you can just key in your title, descriptions, company, product details, copyright details, so many other details. You put it here. And press OK. Once you have nice details on all this. Once you set this type of information later on, your form will actually show you, when you run it, it will show you this type of details. The details that you key in now for the product versions, copyright, company name will extract the data from your assembly information just now. Okay. Yeah. Again, I just open up again. Something that you have placed here. Okay. So you can just play around with it. So far, so good. So far, any questions?
No.
Can follow?
No.
No questions. Okay. We'll move on. So to retrieve the assembly information, okay, because you already set the assembly information, okay, you in those details already. So to retrieve it, you can come out with all these code. Okay. Then this is at the coding part. Okay. So which one which level maybe, or you want to show some details. Okay, so this one on the product name, this one is on the version, copyright, company name, descriptions. Okay, so all these can be set now. Splash screen. So for this splash screen, professional applications normally use the splash screen to tell the user that the program is loading. Okay? Loading or starting. And not into maybe login page yet. Huh? So makes a large applications appears to load and run faster since something is playing on the screen, while the rest of the application is loading. So for small applications, the startup form loads so quickly that it's nearly impossible to see the splash screen. You have smaller applications, sometimes even though you set a splash screen day, but to run it, you may not see this splash screen because when the application is too small, all the forms or the startup forms loads definitely faster. Okay, definitely will load quickly if smaller applications are. So sometimes you cannot see the splash screen, even though you actually have it. Okay? So this can be created by the programmer or using the screen template. Again, you can add a new project or add a new item, sorry, not a new project, new item. Under this new item list, you have splash screen for Windows Phone. Okay, so you can just use that as well. That's another one. Okay. So making the splash form display first. Display the project designer from the project menu and set the splash screen drop-down list to the created splash screen. So to change the setting for the startup object or shutdown mode, because this will require you with more coding techniques. Okay. So what you have now, you just drag and drop, you just use what you have. Okay. So the splash screen should display while the startup form is loading and then disappear. That's the purpose of the splash screen. Display for a while, okay, while your startup form, let's say your form 1.vb is your startup form, while this form 1.vb is loading. Then later, it will disappear for this splash screen. Okay. Following the splash screen display, so if the application is very small, the splash screen disappear before it can be read. Sometimes you cannot speak with that. Okay. So code can be written to hold a splash screen longer, like you can just put few seconds. Okay. If that's 5,000 milliseconds, that will be 5 seconds. So by using this line. So you just add in this line if you want to make it stay longer, to hold the splash screen longer, not too long. Splash screen means just hold. Just display for a while, you can see it, user can see it, then that's it. No need to be too long.
The splash screen is only a message, right? Or can the splash screen have inputs or can have
No input.
well?
No input.
They cannot splash screen cannot have the button input those things.
No.
Okay.
Just hold some details on this application just for a while. That's it. Okay.
Okay.
Have it? You hear me?
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Okay. So you can open up your demo for chapter 6. So for this demo, multiple form. Okay. Try to open that from your demo file there. You just go to the multiple form and play around with Yeah, this one. You choose this one, multiple forms. So you just try to run your splash screen, your about. You just try to run it by changing the setup form. Okay. I'm not going to run this here, but at least I can show you which one you try now lah. Huh? So please try. After you have tried out one by one on this splash screen and also about, you can set the startup form to this form main one and see what happens. See what happens, huh? Just play around with it first before we continue, so that you have some ideas how you can include this into your assignment later on. Huh? You have to include all these things. Huh? Okay, have you all played around with class?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so we move on. Huh? Continue. Okay, showing the form. So new forms are displayed in response to a user clicking a button or a menu item. So to display a new form, you can use show or show dialog. Again, to show and show dialog, there's some different way. Even though both will show your form later on, but what's the difference between both of it? I hope you still remember. Anyway, later on we will talk about it again. So general form name dot show, form name dot show dialog. Okay. So for example here, if you have a form called form summary dot show, form summary dot show dialog lah. Okay. So again, the difference between this show and show dialog, one is modelers, one is model. I hope you still remember this. Modelers, model. Anyone can remember? This is the one that we have discussed last week. When it is modelers, you are using the show. Both forms are open and user can navigate from one form to another. without responding to the form. This is a very important keyword here. Without responding to the form. For the model, no other program code can be executed until the user responds to, okay, or hides or closes the model form. So still remember the show dialog for the font type, the font, and for the color last week. Something that you put the show dialog there is actually model. You must put some response there. Okay, or cancel. You select the color. You put okay. You show some response. Or you put the color dialog box coming out. You just click cancel. There is a response that user put in. Cancel. So at least you put some response to that particular form. Okay. Then only other forms be executed. That's show dialog. Show. You can go to form 1, you can go to form 2, form 3. Any forms that you want to do is okay, no problem. But this one, show dialog, make sure you must show your response to. But case later on for the assignment, whether you need to use the modulus or model, what's the main functions of it? What's your main purpose of it? Force method behave differently from modulus form compared to model form. So for the modulus form, okay, destroy the form's instance and remove it from memory. But for the model form, the form is only hidden. Okay, the form is only hidden. So choosing a form's hide method, set a form's visible property to false and keep the form instance in memory ready to be displayed. Hide it, maybe. Hide it somewhere. Okay. So use the hide method rather than close when the user is likely to display the forms again. Okay. And also this one depends on whether you are actually having modulus or model form. Okay. So hiding or closing a form again. It's the syntax of it, the coding of it, form name.hide. This form, hide it. Once I click next page, then maybe me.hide. This form hiding, another form dot show or show dialog, something like that. So this is how you can actually navigate from one form to another form. Whether after you click next page, I say that's the next page. So whether you want to show what form after you click on next page, and whether you want to close existing form or not. Okay, so you can navigate the form to another form. Your navigation happened here already. So responding to forms event, primary events that code for form event, load activated, which you actually deal with it previously. It's only whether you notice it or not. Okay. Once you double click a form, that's a form load. Okay. So first time a form is shown in an application, the form generates both the load and activated events. Okay. Once you start to load that particular form, okay, both load and activated events is there. So if a form is displayed multiple times, initializing steps can be placed into the activated event procedure seen for the setting the focus in a particular place on the new form. So once you start a new form, once you click maybe next page, so a new form will be shown there. Okay, that will be loaded and activated already. You load it and edit it. So the sequence of forms event. Once you deal with a form, so always look. Occurs before the form is displayed. For the first time, usually happen only once. Okay, so once you start to click something, some form show. It haven't shown, but it's already with the load event already. Okay, so for that next will be activate. It occurs each time the form is short, which means that you play around with that form. Sometimes you load the form is not activated, it's not active at that time. But once you choose the form, it's activated already. Pain occurs each time any portions of the form is withdrawn. Okay, activate occurs when the form is no longer the active form. It can be still a form there, but it's now more active. Form closing. Form closing here occurs when the form is about to close. And form closes. The form close. About to close and close. So this is the sequence when you deal with the forms event. All these considered as a form event that can be. You can do something there. Okay, showing form. So now you can play around with your multiple forms, which I asked you all to play for this form main one just now. Have you all played with that already?
A bit.
Okay,
Yeah, a bit.
a bit big. Have you all played around with the multiple form just now? This one? This one. Your star form. Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Back to the form main one. Already, yeah? Okay. So from there, you can see a splash screen. Later on, you can play around with the menu that happens inside this form. Okay. This one. And just play around with it. So already, yeah? If that's already, then we can move on. But make sure you don't forget to maybe to look into the code wise according code view. So code, and then if you look into the output for this debug line, when the form one load, you can see from your output window form one is deactivating. When it is closed, okay, close, this is closed. When it is closing, closing. So you can see all this, okay? You can see all this happens in your output window. Show dialog. Maybe you can change to play around with show, model and modulus. Okay, so close. This one is closed. You close it. Once a certain form is open, a certain form is closed, maybe. Okay, you can make sure you look into the coding for this part as well. Okay. So can we move on?
Okay.
Can we move on?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. One drop down. Step one, drop down the class name list in the editor and choose entry that shows the event for the selected form. Reach to write the procedures. To show properties and click the event button. Okay. And also double click the events to create empty event procedures. So this is the coding part. Coding part to write the event procedures. Okay, you can select from here. This is chapter 6. So you can choose from the list here. Expansion. So I want to control something on the button next. So what kind of event I want to choose? Normally button X is click. So since already here, I don't want to just click it. If you choose it, so it will get a ready. Let me find out where is the button. Click here. It will give you this one ready. Okay, if you choose it. Okay. This is what mentioned in method 1 drop down name list. Okay. So you choose from the method name, select the event, what event you want to choose. So here, again, here is one. You can control from here. Or the step for method 2. Show property, click events, double click the event, the easiest way. So this one, you just go back to here, you double click it, it will actually give you ready code. Not this one, huh? It will give you ready for this line and this line. So two ways here. Either you want to choose from here, or you just double click from your design. Okay, from your design. Okay. You can choose either one. So this one is just give you the optional alternate way lah. So variables and constant in multi-form project. For module level variables, available in more than one form in a project, but it must stay as friend or public, but not private. Okay. If you want to use a variable, okay, to use a variable, then you need to access it in more than one form in the same project. Okay, you declare it as friend or public. Okay, normally public, but not private. Private always particular form only. So this is on the scope already just now. Whether you declare as a global or local, and now at the module level, you can use a module, add new item, get a module, and then you can put the module level variables in the module. Then forms can access to this variable. Make sure you know that value later on, since you pass here and here, it will change the original value of the variable. be careful when you use all these type of global variable. We have to narrow it down as narrow as possible. Okay, so scope is extended for variable and constants, and is the set of segments we assess. We can assess a variable, or constants without modifying its name. Okay, the scope. This is the expression, whether, again, so all these things. And in this VB.NET, we are using public. Dim is your declarations actually. Okay, and you put your declarations global, local, different access level. Okay, so access level here specifies the permissions required to make use of the variable or constants that you have clicked on. Access level keywords here. Friends, allow other forms in the project to access the variable. Okay. Public, allow all other programs to access variable. Even different project as well can access to this variable, which is not recommended. Okay. Other project can also access the variables that you declare by using access level public, which is dangerous of it all. Again, if you set some value, say, this value can be changed from one program to different program. Then the existing program, existing project access to this variable's value. Maybe you expected the variable to display. And after it runs through so many different projects, it gives you hundreds, which is not logic already. Something wrong already. Avoid use private allowed access only in the class in that particular form in which it is declared. So careful when you are using different level of this access level for the variables that you declare. Okay. Level variable here. Allow all the forms in the project to share the variable. So public or friends variable can be declared either in a class or in a module. So if you don't want to put inside that particular class, that particular form, you can put under a module, as I mentioned. Just add new module or add new item. Go and find a module. Add module. Then you put this particular variables under module. This can be accessed in so many different forms in the same project. I think that will be the highest level we can go through. Otherwise, you don't go for variables that can be accessed in different projects. There's no point for you to go for that, which is something here. No point for you to declare your variable so that you can use that variable to in other projects or other programs. No point for that. You can use it in the same project in different forms. That's the higher level can go lah. Otherwise, later you also confused already. Okay. Static variable. When we use these static variables, it's actually to declare local and block level variables. Whether you want to retain their value for the life of the project, if yes, you must use static. If no, you can use normal dim. Normal dim. When you declare your variable, the dim, IM. So if you need to retain their variable for the life of the project, means that value, whatever changes on the value, it keeps update at state. Let's say this module change or update certain things and automatically or directly or indirectly this update the variable's value from one original value to another new value. And this value, updated value, will be retained until the project stops. And you can use static. Okay, so if the value in the variable needs to be retained for multiple calls, call your original value is 2. After the second call, it returns 3. And after another call, it returns 4. After 10 times it calls, you call it, give you 10 maybe. So if you want this type of result, you must declare your variable using static. It's no more dim. If you use dim, 10 times you call the dim variable's value, it will still remain as 1 if you initialize it as 1 at the beginning. No matter how many times you run it, okay, you call it, it will still give you 1. But when it is static, depends on how many times you call it, it will give you the updated value until you stop one whole program, one whole project. That's the difference between the dim declarations and also static declarations. Okay. So if the variable is used in multiple procedures, declare it at the module level. Okay. So for these static variables here, the syntax, just declare it static, start with static, with your variable as what? Like how you do your dim declarations, your normal declarations, dim integer, num as integer. So if you want to have something retain the updated value for so many calls, use static. So using a static local variable is better than using a module level variables because it always best to keep the scope of variable as narrow as possible. Again, if possible, as mentioned just now, using this module to put in your variable declarations. But again, you will have the risk to use this because at the end, it's a global and don't know which form later on. You have no idea later on, you confused already by your own. Okay, it will be better you straight away put your static variable. Okay, you put your static variable when you declare it. Yeah. Also good. Can you differentiate between the static declarations and also the declarations? Huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. So make sure after this you also need to check on some coding part for this.
Can the value of static
That's the one already access level.
can the value of static variables change?
Pardon, Kevin?
Can the value of static variables be changed in the?
Yes,
Okay.
it will be updated. It will be updated if let's say you have a functions to call this static variable for 2 times. Okay? The initial value, let's say initial value for this variable is 2. After one call, it changed to 4. So the next time the same functions call this value, it will send 4. It's not sending 2. But if you are using dim declarations, same case, if you are using the dim declarations, so now you are actually sending 2 for the first call, do something in that functions. Second time you call the same thing, dim declarations variables, you will send 2. You won't send 4. Static, you send 4. Something like that. That's the difference. Everything just updated. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So now you all please play around with your access level folder. Okay, main 3.
Choose which one? The form.
Play around with access level for main 3. Go now. Okay. So you just change your startup formula. You just change your startup form later. Just now your startup form is form main 1. So have you all played around with it already? If yes, make sure you double click the count. You can just double click the count button there. Then it will bring you to the button count click event. So what you have played around just now is actually with by using the dim declarations, normal dim declarations. Okay. So can you play around with it again for this original one and tell me what you can see from the demo there? Anyone? Yes, still
What again?
testing on that. This button count doing in this demo for this form entry. What's the result there?
1.
So try to enter another new name, another new age, enter another gender. Count again. Count again, it will give you 1 again, right? Is it? Even if you key in the new name, new age, and new gender, it will give you 1 every time if you use 3. Us. This is the original one. So now you try to comment your dim, uncomment your static. In this way, comment your dim, uncomment your static. Run again, and you will see something different now. Just tell me what's the difference now. So you retain the updated value for every entry that you do, is that? Okay. So retain, yeah, Noah? Noah?
Maybe I
What's
try
the
later.
meaning that you can find out? Oh, you try later. Who already tried it? Comment this in and uncomment the static line. Anyone find already? Please tell me, what did you find out from there?
The one static integer count, it increased the number.
Okay, but the original one with theme declarations,
It
the
only
result is
in the original one only output one.
keep output one no matter how many times you key in the new name and new age.
Yeah.
Error? What you got? Okay. So this already answered the difference between the variable that you declare using this normal declarations theme and also static. Okay. And this answer the here. This answer is this part. Retain their value for the life of the project. And if the value of in a variable needs to be retained for multiple calls to its procedures such as running count, declare it as static. It will actually give you the retain most updated value. UUN the static. But if it will keep no matter how many times you call it. How many times you call the same thing, it will give you the original value. That's the thing. But for the static, it will give you the most outdated every time you call it. Huh? Okay, so we move on now.
Okay.
The namespace. Okay. So the namespace here, VB project, automatically assigned to a namespace. And the namespace can be viewed and modified, which is called the root namespace. So every time if you deal with one VB project, essentially you are dealing with namespace already. Only that you cannot see it. You cannot see it, but you can adjust if you have any adjustment of this namespace. You can do it. You can still do some coding on that. Okay. You still can do some adjustment on the coding on that. Okay, declaring variables or constants line. Okay. So follow this guideline, how you can actually come up with the correct access level variables operations at the top. This is declarations. during the program executions, use a name constant. Pi if you are dealing with math calculations, pi is 3.171 something. So use a constant instead of as a normal variable. Okay. So keep the scope of the variable and constant as narrow as possible. I would like to add in more here. Narrow is not enough. As narrow as possible. Otherwise, you might get the wrong at the end, and or you might lose. Okay. You might lose, huh? Okay, consider making variables local if possible. That's why we can do fancy things. Only that. Once you when you start to do full fancy things, whether yourself can keep track of it or not, you can track here and there or not. You know what happened or not. You can remember what you done. Access a variable, a public variable. Fancy wise, remember which one you access or not. Huh? So consider making it local if possible. More than one form, declare it as friend. Friend integer num as integer. So in form 1, you can access this integer num. Form 2 also you can access this integer num. Again, no matter how, once you start to access your variable, more than one form, careful. Always be careful. Even more than one procedures also, or more than one functions also, as possible scope. So running a program outside the IDE or environment, the exe file can be moved to another place system or used as a shortcut. Just like any other program. So if copying the exe file to another system, make sure it has a Microsoft.NET framework downloaded Visual website. Change the icon. Why not? Okay. So this is what you have since every time when you deal with particle, yeah, even though you have one product with multiple forms, but all these forms are not connected, right? Are not connected to each other. So now, after this chapter, in this chapter, you start to make the relevant form. What you need assignment, you need to put, you need to create so many different forms, especially like different modules, different forms. At the end, you need to navigate from one form to another form. Completed. Okay. So use the template to create splash screen and about boxes. Use the show dialog and hide method. So this one, whether you use the show or you use the show dialog, I don't know. Up to your explanation. Variables. You can access to more than one project. More than one project again is dangerous. And on that, it's only that again you are taking risk. Okay, so for this chapter, you all still can hear me, class?
Very like not clear.
Oh, your VB can't compile the file. No, well, how about now? Can compile already? Hello, class?
Yeah.
Very late.
Yeah, very
Right. Yeah. Access level, okay? Oh, okay. Good. Yeah, definitely you need to refer back lah, because lots of references tips from there. Okay. Any questions? Since like we type, we just put in the chat. Any questions? So far, no. Okay. No for Noel. How about Farah and Kelvin?
No.
Yeah. Farah, no questions. Okay. Good. So, okay. Okay, you all see the chat message in the chat box there. Okay. So if no questions, okay. So if no questions, we can dismiss early today. If you have any questions, you can put inside the WhatsApp group lah.
Okay, Miss.
Okay.
We're done already.
Okay. I'll see you all on Thursday. Okay.
Okay.
Bye bye.